Where'd the long hair go? Like this is it's not the Viking look. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not going to do the Viking look just yet. But I will say this, I will do it for a charity thing down the road if somebody wants to. But as for the look, I've said this on a couple episodes already. It was I was kind of challenged to head a look toward where you want to be in the future. So you're going to see some small changes over time until I find out what I feel is that ultimate comfort form. But the first step is, hi, I look like 5 years younger. Okay.
Wow, time traveler. Just so
I am, yeah. I mean, I want to say 10. Probably if I got rid of the goatee, I probably look even younger. But I'm kind of not sure whether I keep the goatee or not. It's one of those things I'm going to play with probably for the next little bit and figure out what's what there.
Good thing it grows back, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing, right? That's why it's a goatee, right? I don't want to do a full beard. That's not, no.
Then you'd be going for the Viking look.
Yeah.
Or the just out of the military look.
Yeah, it's either just out of military, prison, or Viking. And only one of those is actually cool. Not knocking anyone in the military, but honestly, that let's be honest. If you had your way, you'd be like, this wouldn't be your look. Let's be perfectly honest.
Oh my God, dude. You can tell fresh out of the military immediately. They are so tired of shaving, but they still like the side shave, so they just grow a beard.
Yeah, exactly.
It's this haunted bearded look.
Yeah. Well, it's the only rebellion they got because it's like, God damn it. I can't do anything else.
I totally understand. You know what you said earlier about you got the haircut, the person took your photo, and they're like, what kind of person do you want to be in the future? I was reading Psycho-Cybernetics a few months ago, right? And he was talking about, I forgot who wrote it, but he was talking about just pretending or believing, seeing your life as it is, the way that you want it to be. And then your life sort of adjusts to that, right? You start making decisions, expecting different standards for the person that you want to be because you believe that you already are that person. So your environment just plays catch up.
Well, like for example, like one of the things I say, day job, I don't see myself as an employee. I never will again. It's just I'm not that guy anymore, right? Mm-hmm. And I will probably never will be again. Mm-hmm. I am a freelancer though. In my head, that's who I am. So, and like I said, I got 2 gigs. So basically, I just need 6 more. And I get 6 more for like steady. I hit the road. Like I'm done.
You have to do it once. You can do it multiple times.
Well, that's it. Well, it's like I've already done it twice, so now it's just like let's get to 3, 4, 5, and that's the other thing too is it'll definitely the 1 gig I don't think I can say just yet, but it's just a very quiet like podcasting behind the scenes gig. One's a magazine writing gig, and so it's just like one of those things. I actually found out the other day though it's very fortuitous. Like during this whole pandemic, I did not get EI. I found out that probably might have been accidentally the smartest thing I ever did because the fact that they frown very heavily on freelance work if you're on EI. It's like, really? I did not know that.
Well, so here in the States, we have unemployment, pandemic unemployment for freelancers.
Yeah. You think that, right?
It works. It's super helpful.
Yeah. I think that, right? But it's one of those things where you just recognize the fact that maybe, just maybe, that's not how it goes and that's not how it works. But no, so like I said, because Canada's still insane. Like you guys, like I don't know if you're going to magically hit 70% by the end of June, but I don't think it matters. I think you guys have made the decision. Fuck it, we're out.
That's true.
Yeah. That's really where you guys are at.
We can't get our shit together.
What?
It's sad that we can't get our shit together.
You know what? I actually, you know what? I have a slightly different perspective. You have a means of control now. And the fact that people can choose to do what they want to do at this point is, I think, fair. Again, this is just me, right? You have a means of control. And ultimately, the honest thing is for the last year and a half, the choices we've had have been very limited. And I think the fact is, like, the momentum has gone the other way, where it's like everybody's like, you know what? Fuck this. right? I can't even tell you how I got my hair cut today. I can't, because I'm going to tell you this right now, and without saying too much, people are nodding their head at the rules here, but a lot of people have started to blatantly ignore them, right? And just now they may not be in your face about it, but they're ignoring them. And you can understand why, because again, there's only so long people can do this for.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's where we're at. Like, we're at the point in our lives right now, the point of, okay, listen, what can, like, we have control, we have an answer. Good, bad, I don't know if it's a perfect answer, but we have an answer. And I will give this to the United States. You guys, when you do get your, you actually, here's the thing, you have gotten your shit together. As fast as you've made this stuff, that's impressive, actually, how impressive. It's just like that, like, we certainly don't. Look, I can't buy socks and underwear up here. We definitely don't have our act together up here.
Amazon?
Yeah, I'm just being blunt. I can't wear matching socks anymore. I'm at the, like, I actually needed socks right before the bed. Oh, how long is it going to be? I got, like, I even tried to get some on Amazon, and just, like, fuck. It's like, it was just, that didn't even work out. So it was just
dude.
Yeah. So
I was listening to a podcast several months ago, and they were talking about the differences in how people, like, when people go to the emergency room or a doctor's office, the doctors are seeing differences in their feet, right? Because people aren't wearing as many shoes because they're not going outside, and they're stubbing their toes a lot. And without the shoe, you're seeing the damage. So you're talking about socks and underwear, and that just made me think about stubbing toes, right? And it's funny, the way that your life will change when you can't go outside.
Well, it's one of those situations where, or if you have no choice too, like that's the other thing too. If you have, like in terms of that part, I'll be just fine. I really want some new underwear. I really want some new socks. And it's annoying as hell that I can't get them. Yeah. So, and anyone wants to say Amazon to me, honestly, I tried. Like, that even got messed up. So it's just like, I'm just gonna, at this point, we are coming to the point where, in theory, we're opening up again. So when it goes open, I'm pretty much gonna be the first one in line at my local dollar store.
Oh, that's your problem, the dollar store.
No, it's not my problem. I wish that was my problem. That's not my problem. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. We have a very much a hammer and nail concept, Dad. There's lockdown, and then there's lockdown, and Canada's really, really locked down. Here in Ontario, the only province, the only part in North America, we shut down golf courses. We shut down. We were crazy.
Space at a golf course.
What?
You have space at a golf course.
I know that.
Okay.
I just want you to understand the crazy we have dealt with up here, right? I'm not saying you haven't dealt with your own share of crazy, because you certainly have, but yeah, like, I'm just saying, like, I'm joking about this a little bit. I actually did a little short story on my Facebook page. Like, there's like a little jail scene. It's like, what are you in for? It's like, I murdered somebody. What are you in for? I stole socks and underwear at the Dollarama. It's like, why? Why did you do that? COVID. Oh, you poor bastard. And then they're like, well, and then the guy is actually with the COVID. It's like, so what is there to do around here? He's like, not much. It's like, okay, want to cuddle? Nah. Right? Want to dance? No.
No
spoon? I'll be Big Spoon. And
what else is there to do?
We live in a messed up world. Like, we just really do. You can only laugh. Like, you can only find a way to laugh, is because it's the only way to look at this with any degree of sanity.
Yeah, so, laugh to keep from crying.
Kind of. A little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I laugh, or in my case, laugh to get from being angry. Like people think I'm just like. Speaking of which, when we're done off the air, there's something I'm going to want from you. I just recognized it right now, so just remind me when we go. But in this time, like, a lot of people talk about the fact that I'm a pretty positive guy, and I am. But what most people don't really realize, like, for me, it's very much a defense mechanism. as much as it's not me being like toxically positive. It's more the fact that I recognize that if I don't look at the positive, I will look at the negative. And if I will look at the negative, I'm going to be just as down, depressed as anybody else. I choose to focus on the positive because from a positive position, I can keep moving forward. Because
that's what they don't tell you, right?
Yeah.
Being happy, being positive, being content. That's all a choice, right?
Yeah.
Come on. There's so many things out there to make you angry. It's an imperfect world, so you can choose where to look. And what's that other saying? Happiness is delusion, right? You just buy into it. Buy into it. So what? Be fucking happy.
Well, see, I did an interview a while back, and it was like, it goes to him, like, I don't know what realistic is. I have no clue. Like, I really don't. Like, I thought about this. The world is such a big place, and so much is going on. There's no way any of us can keep track of it. Like, there's none, like zero chance. So how does the world work? Day to day, I can't keep up with it. There's like, this is the most realistic thing I'm going to say. I have no clue what goes on in the world on a day in and day out basis. And the truth of the matter is, none of us do. We have pieces of it. We take glimpses of it, but that's it. Like, that's all we get. So we have a choice, right? You can choose to be cynical about it, which the only advantage to that is your heart doesn't get broken as badly. Or we can be positive about it, and, you know, be delusional. They're both delusional, but they're both delusions, but in different ways. And I personally consider cynicism useless. That's just me. I actually think it's actually a relatively useless thing. But again, I also understand too, people's hearts have been broken in a lot of different ways in life. And who am I to tell you that, okay, I know the answer to this? Because I don't. I don't have a clear, perfect understanding of how the world works. And I haven't walked in anybody's shoes. So I got to be real. It's like, maybe there's a reason you're doing it. I can't do it, but that's me, right? You, on the other hand, let's say I do see you being practical when it comes to certain things you do for a living. I know there's a certain practicality you have to have, but that's problem solving, right? I somehow feel that for you, you're almost in the same boat as me. It was like, cynicism doesn't do you any good. And so it's just like, I've got to look at the positive because it will protect me from the storm that is the world.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's like what you said, cynicism won't do you any good. I'm an achiever, okay? I can't help but do stuff. And if I were to be cynical or buy into that or give myself that permission, it will be completely cynical, right? I'm not going to half-ass the cynicism, right? And there's only two different places that's going to get you, into a mental hospital or dead. So, you know, commit to something else if you would like. So it's a tool. If you let the roof leak with the cynicism, it's going to turn into a full flood. Just patch up the roof and go about your day. And
by the way, it's okay if you do need to cry in the moment. It's no, I mean, look, that sounds silly, but I want this stated. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to feel all those things you feel. It's bad when you keep them bottled, though, right? Or maybe this is the only time I would actually say it's useful. It's the fact that, okay, maybe you have so much anger, so much sadness in you that you can only express a little bit of it at a time. Okay, you know what? I maybe could see the value of that way, but even so, sooner or later, you gotta let that shit go, because if it doesn't, it eats you up. I speak from experience. The reason my teeth up here are fake is because I didn't let go of my anger my anger when I should have. That's the price of my anger and my pride. So I learned a very valuable lesson when I did that. So now I just express everything. Real quick before we continue to respond. Hey Nina, I know I look great. I decided not to reveal this until the stream for a reason. I figured people would actually be like, holy shit. And it's like, yeah, I could really look like this.
Did Nina do your hair?
No, Nita is a comic book person, and I've had her. I've gone on her show. Nita is I traumatized her a little bit. I read people very well, so I read people incredibly well because I interview people, right? And so I can look at somebody and I can usually I don't read minds, but I can usually read what's going on with them in the room in their moment. And I'm like, okay, I can usually figure somebody out. And again, not everybody can, that can freak people out because it's like, oh shit, how do you know this? It's just a combination of observation and empathy. And I can usually paint a picture of a person. So Nita is one of those people. Yeah, she says it. He reads people too well, is what he says. It's like just like one of those things. Like I usually have a person pegged, usually within 10 minutes. I usually have them relatively pegged, and Shani's like, no.
I guess it depends on the person.
Yeah. She's like, okay, don't worry. I was like, yeah, that's like me. It's like, but some people, like I had a friend of mine. She went to me. If I had met you 5 years ago, I'd been running from the room because I can't. Like, you just cut through all that bullshit. It's like, yeah.
What's the fear around being seen?
Because some people aren't ready for it. Like a lot of people think this is the truth about everybody, including myself. We all give our game away. All of us do. Not everybody picks up the cues and the signs of it. And some of us do hide our tells better than others. But the truth of the matter is everybody has tells their story every single minute of every single day. It's the truth. No matter what anyone wants to say.
No. I'm reflecting on a moment that I had yesterday, right? Because I've been on this character design kick, right? Just kind of really diving into it and showing other people what I can do. And so I looked at myself as a character and I started, like what we were saying before, get your hair cut for the person that you want to be. So I did a character design for who I could be in the future, the person that I'm growing into, just to see how badass it was, right? And then I looked at the design and I was like, that is so telling. All of my personality is just right there in the design. How obvious I make it just by the clothes that I'm wearing, right? It was eye-opening just to see that because we walk around in our bodies, we don't see the cues that we're given off, how we appear. We don't know how other people are filtering us through their own life views, right? So when you can see it out on paper, like I did yesterday, it was revealing.
Well, yeah, but it's true. Everybody does it. Like everybody does it. But some people, when you tell them in great detail what makes them them, they don't know how to deal with it because it's just one of those things where there's truth and then there's truth. Sometimes too, I've recognized this as well. Some people aren't ready to hear what you have to tell them. They're just not ready. They haven't learned that themselves. And the thing about the truth, this is the scary thing about the truth. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. There's no way out of it. Like there's a point where it's like, and that's it. There's no going back. You can't go back. So when my friend was running, it's because there was just some things about herself she wasn't ready at that 5 years ago would have been like, oh my God, I wouldn't have meant any harm. It's just, it's what I see. Right. So
a lot of that also needs to be separated from, our own projections, right? Because like we said, we only have our version of reality. It's the whole big world. So we're using words that make sense to us based on our own experiences. We don't know what we don't know, right? So when we look at another person and we dissect them, it's from our own limited point of view. So other people could not be ready to hear it, but we could also be completely wrong.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I've made mistakes with people all the time. I still do. But I've also I've had the benefit. This is my 573rd episode of Just Joshing. I've talked to a lot of people. right?
Yeah.
Certain things you all have in common. Certain things everybody's uniquely them, but there are certain things you all have in common.
Okay, lay it on me. What do we all have in common?
That on my show?
Sure, yeah.
Sure.
That you
Okay.
just referred to.
Well, okay. Just because I can tell you in general what everybody wants, like everybody, and then essentially, people want to be the people they love, doing what they love, and essentially be left alone to do it. And that's everybody on the planet.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter.
I can understand.
Yeah, that's everybody. Honest to God, like if you want to like cut all the bullshit out, that is what we all want, right? So that's what we all have in common. Now, how we get there is for everybody is a little different. That's what makes us us. Like we also have again our own magical perception of the world, and also our experiences and how they shape us. Make that world really, really, really interesting, and makes us all unique. But at the very base, if you want no bullshit and that cut through all the wonderful crap, I don't care if you're Bill Gates or if you're that somebody on the street. The honest truth is, you want to do what you love, you want to be around people you love, and you truly don't give a shit about much else. And if the world is a perfect place, you're going to be left alone to do those things. That's everybody. Period. Right? On my show, this stream scares me. My friend Nita's like, this stream scares me. I'm out.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome to the show. But for everybody else, like everybody, like that's everybody. And I think that's actually like that. If nothing else you get anyone gets from this particular episode, it's this. It doesn't matter who you are. We can all find stuff, a common ground just based on that one commonality. Once you have that commonality, you can't look at everybody. Like, I don't really hate anybody. There are people I like more than others, but I don't really hate anybody because I get it. Right? I get it. I don't necessarily understand everything you're doing, but based on just that perception of how the world works, my perception of how the world works, I get like you're doing something that you think will lead you to those things. And I totally get that. And I dig it, right? So that's again, and when I approach an interview, that is the assumption I go by with everybody on the show, no matter how much of an asshole I might be dealing with on the other side, or how much of a great person I'm dealing with on the other side. I'm going to assume that at a base level, that's what people want. And again, some people want to be famous, some people want to act, some people want to draw, some people want to pro wrestle, some people want to be a leader. Some people, like, how is what makes everybody different. But the base is that, right? And then on my show, what amazes me, the best thing about the show is the really, really successful people. Like the people that are New York Times bestseller authors, people that are doing incredibly well. It's amazing how similar their attitude is when it comes to their approach of tackling problems. It is almost to a T the same thing, almost to a T, right? Which I thought was a very fascinating thing. When I look at Kelly Armstrong and Fonda Lee, and that's what they have in common. It's like,
what do they have in common?
They approach the problems in their life and how to solve them the exact same way.
And
they have
what's that approach?
What?
What's that approach? That's very helpful information.
That you can overcome it. Like it's the attitude of how can I solve the problem? How can I have made my word is my bond. I'm going to deliver a project on this date and this time. I'm not going to give myself any excuses with this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do everything in my power to make this happen. I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to being better. Even like it's amazing. Like whether it's Jonas Saul, Kelly Armstrong, Jonas Saul is another one. Same thing. I want to get better. I want to work on my craft. I want to improve my craft. Like other things are different, but the base attitude of how they go for things and how they actually like achieve things is very similar. Philip Burnham, PJ Burnham, same thing, right? Like the really, really uber successful people there, and notice in there's no excuses if they don't do it. There's no mention of there is no sweating on the failures. There's no blaming anybody else. There's no passive aggressiveness. It's like, this is what I'm going to do. I'll do it. I will find a way to get it done. And that at a very core level is the attitude you need to succeed.
Well, that's such a very focused approach. It's a missile. It has a target and it just goes for it, right?
Yes, exactly.
You're reading the chat.
Yeah, no, it's just that's it, right? That is very much like the really successful people. They have that mindset, or they have something very close to it. Like there might be, again, there's variations on the theme a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The theme in general is the same, and the people that don't, and then there's people at different levels, and that's where it's interesting to me, because I have my own opinion on who I think is going to make it and not, because I'll see what they say and I'll watch what they do, and that will tell me everything I need to know. Right, that'll tell me everything I need to know about that person, whether I will work with them or not, whether I think they're going to succeed or not. Now, I've been dead wrong. I could be totally dead wrong. In fact, I probably am on some level. This is where it's like, you know what? Because you can't predict when success will come. But I can look at you, and I can just watch how you do things, your approach, how you view yourself, how you are you humble in your accomplishments? Are you boisterous in your accomplishments? There are advantages to both, but there's a balance there that I think everybody needs to have. What's your priority? What's your focus? Because that's also going to tell me a lot whether or not you're going to succeed or fail. If you want to do a project, I want to do it, but you're distracted with other things, like sometimes legit stuff like family emergencies and crises of that. That's, you know what, totally fair game. But it's like, I'll get to it, and then you never do, right? Right? That tells me something right there. That also tells me that in the event you do likely get success, I am probably going to put a small bet that you're not going to keep it, only because you haven't gotten the tool nailed down. You're not prepared for because success is a very different ball game. Most of us are used to failure. When you succeed, the goal is now no longer to succeed. The goal is to stay or keep going up the ladder where you're at.
It's a lifestyle.
It totally is. Not
your
just
lifestyle should evolve with you, right? So if you're evolving for success, whatever that looks like for you, we're talking about the long game. Within those acute moments of success, between those, it's going to be a span of effort and failure and learning, and effort and failure and learning, connections, luck, more effort, success, right? Success is cyclical. In that cycle, everything else happens.
But also there's a paradox too. Like, you can do everything right and still not succeed. That's the paradox of success. Is you can do all the right, but then you realize that the objective to get to success is not actually to see, I'm going to succeed. Okay. The goal is I'm going to be as prepared for success as I possibly can be. You don't need to have all your ducks in a row. That's not the goal. The goal is, okay, when the chocolate chips come into my cookie dough, am I smart enough to recognize what I have? I use chocolate chip cookies for one very simple reason, because it was an accident. It's like one of the greatest accidents ever, but it's an accident. And the reason I use that one, because it's also very funny. It's a very simple thing, but what a profound thing that is, right? Because no one thought to put chocolate chips in the cookie dough, and then one day someone accidentally did it and discovered something marvelous. That to me is more the pinnacle of success. It's recognizing when you have a good thing and you can do something with it. And that's what the preparation is for. It's not for success, because you never know what that's going to look like. Some people, that is winning the lottery. Some people that is that. Some people it's my book's a New York Times bestselling author. For your case, oh my God. Hey, Shani, there's this movie here that's we'll pay you X amount of dollars to come up with the storyboard world building for this show. In which case, Shani's dancing and probably getting very wasted that night just because. Yes. But when you come to, it's like you're gonna have to go to work, and you're gonna be like, okay, what tools do I have to keep me here? What tools do I have to get me booted out? And there's that honest gut check I think all of us have to make when we want to become successful. For me, one of my weaknesses is presentation. As you can see, though, I probably should focus on it a little bit more because I'm going to say this with all no humility. I look damn good. And that's just.
Own it.
That's right. I look damn good right now. That's right. That's right. Nita, you are chocolate chip. So it's fantastic, right?
Actually, I wanted to mention something about that, but go on.
No, go.
Well, it's like what we were talking about with mindset, right?
Yeah.
The optimism versus the cynicism. It's that mindset of where you choose to be the life that you're becoming, that person of yourself that you're becoming, that you are even open to noticing that chocolate chip moment, right? A cynic might have saw the chocolate chip and said, fuck it, this whole thing is wasted. I'm throwing this out. An optimist, or somebody who is choosing to see things in a different way, sees an opportunity there. Don't hold yourself back by how easy it is to be pessimistic or cynical. There's plenty of things to be that over, but not the chocolate chip moments. And what you had mentioned with, okay, Shani is going to get drunk that night, super celebrating, but the next day Shani's going to be working. In that moment where that success is on you now, it's going to feel intimidating. And just acknowledge that moment, right? Because that's when it happens. That's when you become pro at whatever you're trying to do. It's when you feel intimidated by what you're doing, but you're doing it anyways, and you're prepared, and you know that you're prepared, but you're not sure that you're ready. That's when it comes. It's not going to be a shining light of, here's your cape. It's going to be, God damn, I'm intimidated. I can't wait.
That happened to me. Like, I did my first magazine article, and I interviewed this amazing opera singer slash jazz musician slash ballerina. What amazing life. I love that. That interview will never air. As that one won't. I'll be talking to her very shortly about coming back on the show because she was so fucking cool. Like, just so fucking cool. But the thing about that was she had such a big story. It actually overwhelmed me. It's like, what angle am I going to come from? My editor's like, Josh, you can't do it all in like 500 words. Like, give me an angle. Yes, sir. So.
Well, actually, I'm gonna watch it.
Well, actually, no. Honestly, to be fair, there's no way I could do that. That woman's life story in 500 words doesn't even come. I could actually have a novel and not even do that justice. Like, she's had 3, like, super successful, amazing careers. All 3 of them are incredible. The ballerina part is like, wow, like that takes incredible. I have a lot of respect for people that do ballet for one very simple reason, that the dedication, the work, and the strength. Ballerinas are some of the strongest people in the world.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone tells you.
Absolutely.
They're badasses. They are badasses. Yeah. And so then there's that, and then she became a world famous opera singer. She performed like Salome, which is like one of the hardest operas to actually perform. And then at the end of now she's a jazz musician, which is which is like, that is such a cool career, and that's a cool life, and that's a one of a kind. She's performed for presidents and royal family. Like, honestly, there was a moment in that interview. It was like, what am I doing here? Because
why are you wasting your time talking to me?
Yeah, exactly. But I also had like kind of like a really cool eureka moment too, because when I started this podcast, don't get me wrong, I was talking to some pretty well-known people even then, but even now I'm looking at my guests, I'm looking at the people that are coming on my show, I'm looking at and I'm still incredibly humbled by it, actually, because it's like, the other thing everybody that's been on my show has in common is they're all incredible in their own ways. Like, there is something truly heroic about each and every one of you. And I don't care where you are on the journey, whether you're just starting. There's some people that have just started out. I just was like, wow, you're going to be so amazing. Whether you're somewhere in the middle of the journey. You're not quite sure what up and down is yet, but you're trying and you're going for it. I same thing. I admire the hell out of you, because that is the scariest moment in the journey right there, is when you don't know. You know there's a lighthouse, but you're not quite sure where it is. And you gotta find it and you gotta find it in the dark somehow, some way.
But don't doubt your ability to do so.
Yeah. And yeah, absolutely. That's such a scary moment. And we all go through that. And then I've seen people and I'm seeing more of these people coming on my show now that have made it, that have done, and the best thing, the neat thing about that is you realize two very interesting things. Number one, they still think like you. They still think they haven't made it. They still think there's things to go for. They still think there's things to prove. Number one. But number two, somewhere in that, I just realized too, it's like, you know what? Even though I'm like, why the hell am I here? There's another part of me that was like, you know what? I belong here. Yeah, that is a really cool moment. That's a cool moment when you recognize that. Nita, the secret to having my confidence is I'm going to give you the secret. This is the secret. I know who I am. That's it. I give myself permission to just be me and let whatever come my way. I've had my ass kicked hard, really hard. These teeth are not real. I've had my ass kicked really hard. But if you can survive all that, you can handle those failures, you can look at yourself in the mirror and go, I'm still here and I can still do this. And you let nothing stop you. Well, you're going to get there. Inevitably, life will tap out to you. You're going to make life your bitch. That's just how it works. You're just going to do it. Because eventually the world's going to say, well, I got two choices. I'm going to kill your ass, in which case death will say, maybe, maybe not. But barring that, you're going to get there. And that's it. And this confidence didn't come from one moment. It came from a myriad of moments of just doing the work and having confidence. And as I kept doing the work and seeing results, I grew confident. And the more confident I grew, the more great people showed up. And that's how it works.
Yeah, my dad always used to say, judge people by who they surround themselves with, right? That can be an accurate reflection of who they want to be or who they are. And so if you're finding yourself in a crowd of achievers and people who work for their dreams and their goals, that's got to say something about you. These people know their worth also. They're not going to waste their time. So let that speak for itself.
Yeah. I had Chuck Cannell on the show last night. First time as an author. I want him to come on and celebrate. He's a cool fucking dude, right? He's just a cool fucking dude. So once again, Chuck, congratulations. But at the same time, it's just like, I think the other part that works in my favor is just the fact that I think the one thing that works for me, that my quote unquote advantage, people don't get the sense that when I say I want you to succeed, I'm bullshitting them. Sincere. What?
You're sincere.
Mm-hmm.
Which goes back to that honesty thing, which goes back to that confidence thing.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. If you're all going to succeed, like, here's the thing. Success doesn't have to be lonely. In fact, really successful people, their sincerest wish, honestly, is that there's more of them. It's hard. It really is. But here's the thing. If you get there, the cheerleaders are actually the most successful people. Right? They're actually the biggest cheerleaders because it reaffirms them too.
Yeah. Well, it's also great to be part of a cohort of people who expect good things from you, bigger things from you. They're not going to waste their times with people who don't meet this quality, right? They want to be as inspired by you as you are from them, right? So let your cohorts power you to be better. And if you're not surrounded by people who do that, that could stand in the way of you even seeing what's possible, right? I was reading that the 5 people that you spend most of your time with are the people that you're going to be like. So choose those people carefully. If you want to be the next CEO of whatever business, surround yourself with CEOs and you'll get it, right? You'll get there. But that goes with anything. If you want to be a good person, surround yourself with good people, whatever that looks like. Just let your cohorts be a superpower. You don't need to go it alone. If you go it alone, you're succeeding in a vacuum, and I'm not quite sure how useful that is.
So this was the lesson. So it's funny because I was at after I got my haircut, because it was right near where my dad's shop was. He's like, the house I was staying at, he's trying to sell, and there's these little obstacles getting in the way. And the one thing I told him, have you thought about asking for help? You've got so many people you've helped over the years. Somebody somewhere is going to know something. And he goes, I hadn't thought about that. It's like I think no. But here's the thing, right? This is a very it's a very common thing too. You have to learn how to do things on your own. You like there's actually a very there's a fine line with asking for help too. So I almost feel like this almost is a topic in of itself.
Absolutely.
But the trick is, like, we are at our best when we have a group of people that want the same things we want. Like, that's the honest truth. Like that's when we are our absolute best.
Mm-hmm.
But to find those people, there's also a filtration process. And there are times, I think, for everybody, no matter what our goals are, we have to be willing to go it alone, because there are some skills there that are valuable. The trick is, at some point, sooner or later, you have to come out into the air and share. We're not built to be by ourselves. So when I fix the teeth thing, I asked for help. It's the first time I really asked for help in my life about anything. Mm-hmm. And then I realized, how powerful is that? On two levels. One, people willing to help you. It's actually very humbling to see how many people really are rooting for you. And two, you're not at your strongest when you don't ask for help. You're actually at your strongest when you are willing to show your vulnerabilities. That's when you're at your absolute rawest strength, because there's no armor anymore. It is just you. And that takes a lot of balls, right? People that sometimes don't ask for help are people also afraid of getting hurt. And that's something I recognized in my family. It's the one lesson I've actually I've had to unlearn, and it's a good lesson to unlearn. But where I've learned valuable things is, you can learn and you can solve any problem on your own. It can be done, but it's better. But to truly get the maximum impact of your worth, you have to ask for help. You have to surround yourself ultimately with a community of people like you. So,
well, I hear multiple things in what you're saying, right? To see what you're worth, right? It helps to have that validation from other people being like, yes, you are a worthy cause for me to help out in. That feels great, you know? Mm-hmm. Also look at it mathematically, right? It's what you said about earlier. There's a superpower in being self-sufficient and doing things yourself, learning those skills, right? That's empowering to know how to do what you need to do to reach the goals that you need to reach. Still, by yourself, as empowered as you are, you can only get so far. If you are empowered and you ask for help, you have an exponential growth, an exponential potential to reach where you're trying to go. You're using everybody else as the legs to your table, right? And then you can hop off anywhere. But without that community support, you're only as strong as yourself. And that's not to say that you're not strong. That's just to say that's much more limited compared to what it could be.
So my stream cut out just right as you were saying that.
Uh-oh. Hello?
Oh, wow.
Oh,
so yes. Everybody, we'll be doing this very shortly here. 1 second here. Yoink. Are we there? Are we there? Is it me? Is it her? It's
click,
not
clack,
me.
Click. Bing, bang, boom. Bada bing, bingo.
All right, we're almost coming back. We're almost back.
The 3 watchers are
Almost
still
back.
here.
Sorry, guys. 1 second here. My restream is being evil here. Give me a second. I'm going to do something real quick.
Whatever you gotta do. Oh, hi everybody. If you see me, hi, I'm Shani. It's nice to connect with y'all. It's me and Michelle. Thanks for listening.
There we go.
Hi.
Hi. I don't know what happened there.
Features.
So we're going to do this again. I don't know if it was my end or your end. Could you kindly repeat your answer? That way, that way I at least hear it. Because if it was just me, I'm sorry. If it was everybody else, if it was you, whoops, right? Oops. But I'm going to guess it was me just based on what just happened there. So just for my simplistic sake,
sure.
Yeah.
Well, all I said basically, I'll surmise, is you can be empowered and self-sufficient, and you still only get so far just by the math of it, right? Mm-hmm. If you reach out for help, you have an exponential potential to reach greater heights because you're using everybody else as a resource. You know, think of how empowered you are. Other people can and are as empowered. If y'all work together for your own goal, knowing that they love you and that they want to see the best for you, you can go further than you thought just by yourself. That's just the math of it.
That's right.
Let that empower you.
Yeah, exactly. Not like I said, there's a time to be by yourself. And I think especially when you're trying to find those people, there's definitely a benefit to that. But there's also just a time to like, I got to move forward. I got to do things and go from there. So last time you came on the show, right, you drew a pirate ship inside your illustration. So what are you doing tonight?
So I have joined, I've been a member of the Society for Visual Storytelling. I really love their information and all the resources that they offer. It's basically a college course without being in college, and you pay $25 a month for it. Anyways, they came out with a new course that I was super excited for. It's the Children's Book Pro course. Combined, they have over 50 years of illustrator experience and kids book experience. And I see a great career in kids books and picture books if I can get that going, when I get that going. So I dished out for the course. It's a 10-week course of let's make our own kids book from, guided by the pros. You can use your manuscript or one of the 3 that they've put together. I'm working on my own manuscript. That's done. But weeks 1 homework, thank you, is a master study of the trending illustrations, kids books that are on the marketplace right now that I enjoy, right? Got to make sure that the market likes it. Got to make sure that, there's proof of concept that I can achieve that style and that I like to do that style, right? If I don't enjoy it, I'm not going to want to draw it. So those are the filters there. All that put together, the homework is to do a master study of 4 different characters, 2 different props, and 2 different full page illustrations. Master studies are really helpful when you're trying to learn a technique really quickly. You just do what they did without having to pay for their instruction. They could be dead, they could be alive, they can be across the world, they could be next door, but you have their work, so you can copy their work. Yeah, the C word. You can copy their work and learn what they're doing. And in that way, a piece of them blends into your own style, and you can become more marketable that way. Or you can skip years of frustration and how do I achieve this effect with this technique just by doing what they do. So that is what I'm doing now. Let me share my screen.
Yeah, you go do that. I actually have one question though before we begin.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
There's something you said that I'm kind of really curious.
Yeah.
Right to market. That is a very unique. The market could be a lot of different things today.
Yeah.
So I guess the question I'm asking is, what market are you shooting for? Because that's
right.
It's got to
be the market that you want to work in, right?
Yeah.
And not just the market of whatever fits, because you're not gonna enjoy what you do. So I wanted to do picture books, right? And I would love to do adult picture books, but we're in a culture that doesn't really have adult picture books. It's a big thing in France and Japan, but not over here. So the closest thing to that would be young adult picture books, like graphic novels, or the graphic novel phase, which I would love to do, but graphic novels take so much work and there's not as much buyer. Yeah, go for it.
So someone recommend a book you look up. Have you ever heard of Hugo Cabret by Michael Zelzniak?
No.
Look it up.
Okay,
Here's
link it.
because I am gonna point something out to you that you might want. The young adult genre, even in traditional publishing, there is a lot more room for experimentation there than there is in practically any other genre. And I bring this up only to tell you this, that I will say, like I just mentioned a really good example of this, right? So that because it's essentially a picture book, but it's also a novel. It's both, right. And I think if you look carefully enough, you'd find, I think, a market for that even here. Also, just on a personal note, as an indie guy, all my books have illustrations in there. I'm stealing the Japanese. I'm going to tell you guys, like, straight up, I stole 2 people in particular, Roger Zelazny and Japanese light novels. Why both of those? 2 reasons. Roger Zelazny told these really dense, great stories in like 200 pages or less. I love that size of book. Now, maybe a little bigger because I'm not that good, but basically, the reason why I love that is because I know a lot of people today want to get a great story in the book they have, and I want to tell the best story I can inside of a book. But the other thing too is I look at the Japanese light novel and I think it's brilliant as a concept. Illustrations plastered throughout the book, even just a handful of them, add such a fun layer to the world.
Absolutely.
I look at with like the fact that Japan develops TV shows and other things from this stuff too. It's like, you know what? I think North America is going to. It has been quietly, slowly swallowing this bit by bit in the last 10 years. I think if your book is awesome and possibly made of cheese or chocolate chip cookies, you decide. I think you got a better. I think you got a better chance than you think. When in terms of there is an audience here, and I think it's untapped. And that's just that's my opinion.
I agree. I think the audience is there. As somebody who's starting out in the industry, I'll be honest, my priority right now is to get regular income, right? And then I can start experimenting with tapping into those audiences that might not be as dependable as they could be, right? It's also a future model for me where I'll have a Patreon and the backers will back my comic book, and that's going to be a long form graphic novel. I know you're laughing, but it works. It totally works.
No. I wasn't laughing exactly. Okay. I would never laugh at you for your goals. No. I would never do that. Not in a million years. Because the fact that you mentioned that comic books take a lot of work, and yet here you are doing one. It's like
I'm doing a picture book. It's 1 to 3 illustrations a page. Very different. As opposed, we're talking about 32 pages because that's usually convention for kids. Okay.
No, I just want to get that clear because that was the part I was laughing at. Because that was the part no, straight up. I will never ever laugh at your dreams. Period. Ever. Right? Because I know
feedback.
Okay. Huh. It could.
It's kind of
that's weird. But then again, my internet went really haywire there for a second there. So, hold on. Jeffrey Lutz says that's a cool course. Well, it sounds like a cool course. I might actually do something like that.
Absolutely.
All right. So now you want to share the screen because now it's time to share the screen.
Let's do
that. I think so. As I will also be drawing. So. I can't say I'll be as cool as her. I'm drawing from Avatar: The Last Airbender tonight. Because, come on, guys, it's Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Avatar's awesome.
Yes. Hold on a second here. There it goes. It's perfect. There we go. Da 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 da.
Da, 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 da. So, what am I doing? So this, right? We were supposed to pick 3 influences in our story style, and I've chosen Jay Yang, who did The Fabric Merchant's Son and Our Rainbow, and Wendell the Wendigo. They're a little lesser known. And then I went with, what's their name? This is What Do You Do With an Idea from Kobe Yamada and May Besum. And then this one is, I forgot her name. Eileen something. But this is Wild and Woolly over here. So those are 5 character studies. And I've also done here we go. A full page study. This one also came from Jay Yang, The Fabric Merchant's Son. And this was really hard to replicate, but here's the original right here.
Jesus, wow.
It's incredible. I really wanted to study the layers of colors, right? Because you can see that the forms here in the leaves, they're way more defined than what I went for, but
yes.
Right, my focus was the color. How did you put the colors on top of each other to achieve that effect? Because it's really complex, actually. But also the goal was to figure out, how is the page laid out? Where does the narration go? Where does the eye move around? Because so much of good art comes down to design, and design's not something that sounds really sexy with art. It's more mathematical than it is artistic, but it's all about eye movement, right? So with the design here, you can tell where the eye is going to go, right? It's like probably here where the contrast is, 1, then here, 2, where the face is, because people are attracted to faces, color, contrast, right? And then probably back down here to this goat. And then it's reading the narration, and we read left to right, so it's right back up here, and then follow that color, this dark color here, back to this narration, and so your eye travels all around this page.
Yes.
And that's powerful, right? You want audience interaction.
Yeah, so a couple things. First off, my Aunt Jennifer's on the show. So Aunt Jennifer, honestly, one of my goals in the summertime is I would love to get Rachel to come do a drink and draw with me. That's my sister. My sister's uber talented, and I would love to have her on the show. I really would. Like, I totally would be down for that. Number two, Jeff, she did definitely duplicate that. Like Shani's amazingly talented. If you guys really want to see what she can do, check out her LinkedIn page. Here, she has LinkedIn as Shani O. I always I tend to just post my podcast and article stuff there, but she is somebody. That's how we met, actually, was through LinkedIn, and we have a very similar mindset, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks, Mary. Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna start drawing that avatar here. So I got a couple of them that are really, really fun. I realized, like, the stuff I really enjoy drawing is like really kid-like animated stuff. Right? That's what I seem to enjoy. So, and learning all these shapes and stuff like that has become like a almost like a pastime, right?
So you're into the cartoony style?
I like it, yeah, because the reason why I like it so much is it's actually very imaginative, right? One thing I realize about human beings in general is most of what we see, there is a degree of imagination in it. And I think that's why when you do a realistic show, sometimes it doesn't work, because what's happening is there's a limitation, almost in one sense, on the imagination. This isn't always true, mind you, but I find that when you make people imagine stuff a little bit, they enjoy it more. This applies to, like, I think almost anything in life, though, truth be told. If there's no imagination to it, it's boring. But when there's actually a little imagination to it, it's an incredible part of the process.
Absolutely. Have you read Scott McCloud's Making Comics?
It's actually the one I recommend for people to with that one is Understanding Comics.
Right. Yeah. So you've seen his design triangle, right?
Yes.
So what you're talking about right now when you're saying imagination, that's the difference between having a photograph that tells you all the details of what you need to see. So it doesn't take much work to know what you're looking at, right? That's the realism versus having a cartoon which is based more on icons, right? Two dots for an eye, a little half moon for the mouth, and people decipher that as a face, right? It's just a language, if you would. It is a visual language. That's all that art is. Every icon that you see, that is part of the visual language. So you can put these icons together to make a word out of visuals, and now you're speaking the language of art. This is all to say, when you're talking about the difference between realism versus cartoon, and you're pairing that up with having people get involved with their own imagination, if you get them involved using their imagination, they're immediately more, what's the word I'm looking for? They're beholden to the story. They've got skin in the game, right? Because you've asked them to work with you to tell the story by imagining. You're not giving them photographs and telling them what to think. You're not giving them a book and being very explicit about what's going on. You're giving them a drawing that they then dissect and apply to themselves, and then they become a part of it.
Exactly. That's what you like. We're like at the end of the day, we're doing storytelling, right? And storytelling, when you get right down to it, now we don't do it like video games. Like video games is has almost revolutionized this to some degree. Mm-hmm. But the idea that man, I gotta say, Avatar is so fun to draw so far.
I love ATLA.
Yeah, it's so ingeniously.
Hold on, let me see you. I gotta stop sharing so that I can see your stuff.
But not yet. Not yet. You
let me know when you're ready.
Totally. No. I'll show you. But I always feel like in these shows, because like, and I don't say this to belittle myself. You put a lot more practice into this craft than I have, and your goals and your goals are, although we do have similar end games, right? The journey to it for me is a little less immediate than yours. You've put the effort in. I'm a writer, right? I see myself as a writer first, and although I do think I've gotten better. I don't know if you've seen me just post stuff here and there, but if you have, I'd be curious to think what you thought about me getting better or worse and stuff like that. But one of the things is this is for me is still primarily fun, right?
Ideally, it stays fun. It's just the practice gets more difficult.
Yeah, well, it's also what like I'm going to have to do anatomy at some point, and I'm going to start doing anatomy when I start doing color.
Right? Okay.
You're right.
You think like an oil painter.
What?
You think like an oil painter.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. No, I didn't realize that's what I was doing, but I'll take it.
It's blocks of color, and so if you're separating your anatomy through blocks of color, that's basically oil painting.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'll let you know how that goes.
I wouldn't recommend diving straight into it because it's kind of challenging, but that's just something.
Listen. I have been very open about this with people. I don't know what I'm doing. It doesn't stop me in any department, and the reason why I say I see this as fun and not necessarily serious, and I don't want people to get the wrong idea. I do want to get good at this. Is for me to get as far as I have, one of the things I had to do is I had to eliminate the concept of me being bad at this. Now, am I right? What if I suck? Because that is such a realistically, it can freeze people, man. It really, really can. It froze me for a very long time. Right? It froze me for a very, very long time.
Spoiler alert, though, it's going to happen.
Oh, sure.
If you're starting out at anything, you're not starting off great.
Oh, absolutely. Oh God, yeah. I know that.
I mean, for, anybody listening to this, if it's the fear of not being good at something that keeps you from developing that skill and becoming good at it, you don't let it stop you.
Yes, just don't, right? Because it will get in the way of so many good things. It really, really does. Like I've learned this the hard way, many times. It's just like, so when I started this, like, you know what, I'm not going to worry about being good. I'm just going to be worried about having fun, right? And honestly, right, I've learned so much just being that, just doing it like that, that I'm very, very okay. I definitely don't get his tongue right. Ugh. It's amazing the things that actually kick your ass sometimes when you draw stuff. It's like, so, but like I said, I'm going to be tackling anatomy at some point soon, and when I do, right, I recognize the fact that I'm going to be taking this to another level when I get there, right? And I know this, right? So it's not like a surprise to me, but it's not bad. It's not bad for a first try, anyway. I'm almost there. I'll let you know. I'll let you know when it's done. I promise.
Are you showing it off right now?
No, I'm not almost there. I gotta finish drawing his hands.
It really is the fun.
What?
It really is the fun of it that's going to get you through that challenging learning curve.
That's right.
If you don't have that to fall back on, you're really not going to have the motivation. They say that all the time with writers. Don't wait for motivation. Go out and get it. But if you didn't find it fun or cathartic in the first place, you're probably not a writer.
That's right. That's true. And that's how it goes. That's true with any art form. But like for writing and art especially, absolutely. Like, and yeah, like I said, that's amazing. I learned something right there. That's cool.
Okay.
I'm just inking it a little bit, so it's certainly not perfect. I have to get some. I gotta get some like basic art tools, like a ruler, at some point now soon again.
Are you gonna be working a lot with buildings?
No, you know what? Honestly, I was watching Mog Park draw. Right. It's amazing how much sometimes a little symmetry goes with certain things. Like I found Avatar doing a hang glider here, right? So one of the things that I wish I had a ruler for right now is to make the hang glider more symmetrical, just a little bit more, right?
Okay, give you a secret here. You ready?
I'm ready.
To help with your symmetry and your line, I'm not sure what your technique is with how you're holding that pencil, but when you start pulling that, pull from your elbow. Don't pull from your wrist.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely useful. I'm gonna get in the habit.
That'll give you a straighter line.
Okay.
Instead of like needing the ruler, because you mentioned symmetry and that goes into line length, and that's, you can develop the skill to eyeball that. But it helps in the way of getting that skill, right, to be able to draw that line straight. So go ahead and pull from your elbow if you're feeling up for it.
Yeah. It's just one of those deals I've learned in the last little bit. It's just like, work on the process of getting better, and that's the way to do it, right? And also what I'm going to be doing more and more too is you add, and it's amazing how one line or two line can make something infinitely more complex without even trying. Right, without even trying. It's actually an amazing. And like I said, so I'm going to start getting into that stuff because I am doing my sequentials, my first sequentials for one of my books. And if you told me that I was going to do that years ago, I had laughed at you.
Well, it makes a huge difference, the lines that you put in when you're dealing with a cartoon, right? Because cartoons, like what Scott McCloud was saying, is all about taking away the extraneous detail and focusing on the details that you want the viewer to see, right? Yeah. So in that way, every line that you put in has meaning. So you got to choose those lines with care.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that goes into knowing what lines mean what. And that's just as much about learning the visual language as it would be for a writer to learn, go into the dictionary or thesaurus and pick up some cool words.
Oh, writing it like more advanced. It's not really about the words so much.
Well, same with cartoons. There's a lot of complex cartoons out there, and it's not about the complexity of the rendering.
Yeah. No, it's actually it's all about simplifying things, right? What I find and simplifying and simplicity is not easy. No, anyone that says otherwise is lying through their teeth.
It takes a lot of effort to look effortless.
It does.
Ask any ballerina.
And practice. Lots and lots of practice.
Absolutely.
My avatar is going to look like he got bonked in the head.
I'm sure that's happened once or twice.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's one of those things where you just got to learn, right? You just got to learn. You just got to do.
Well, what's the alternative? I mean, if you're not practicing, you're not getting better. But that goes without saying for anything. Just do what you enjoy. Watch yourself bloom.
So do you want to see hold on. One last.
Yes, let's see it. Let me stop sharing.
Let me just finish the last.
No pressure, but I'm looking now.
Don't judge me. Don't judge me. All right.
Okay, a little bit closer. Okay, I'm seeing it. All right. Huh. What do you think about it?
I think, honestly, like I said, you got bumped in the head. That's going to be the Instagram description. Avatar, bonked over the head. And then I'm going to tag my friend just because I think she'll get a kick out of that. But no, I look at I think for especially since this is the first try, it's actually pretty good. I got the basics of his shape down.
Sure.
The expression isn't quite right, but then again, considering that this is also my first time, there's things like I noticed that okay, maybe I do this a little better next time, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, like I said, I've been learning as I go, and basically one of the things I've learned about this is, you know what, it's never going to be a perfect page, so I don't worry about that. This writing has taught me, like, there's no such thing as perfection.
Absolutely.
Right. So did I tell the story I wanted to tell? The answer is mostly. Again, bonk on the head was not intentional, so I can't give myself a full A plus there.
That's also up to interpretation. He could just have a pretty pointy head.
Yeah, he could have a very pointy head. It's the eyes. The how I did the eye. One eye's like a little bigger. It's like I got hit a little too hard here, but you know. But
well, right now then it is time for the obligatory. Let Shani give you a quick lesson.
Sure.
Awesome. We do this every time. We're doing this again.
Okay, so hold on. We gotta go back. Okay. We are back.
So this is called the bean. Yeah. Body shape, basically.
Yeah.
Right. Torso, hip. Yep. Almost every pose that you can look at can be defined as a bean. If you want to show the movement in the pose, right? You get that general. Hi, I'm your stick figure, right? Around that is
stick figure.
And you can define a lot of poses. I think we talked about this last time with the flour sack, right?
Yes, flour sack was a big thing the last time we did this.
You can define a lot of where the flow of movement is going just through where you point this bean. The bean, let me change colors real quick, comes from the whole idea, which is something that you might find useful, of S and C. A lot of movement can be shown through one S line and then one C line. So if you want to show flow of direction, like if you're doing a mermaid, that's been a huge thing this month. This is mermaid. There's your tail. It's a building block, this shape, right? The S and C. And then suddenly you have a mermaid fin.
That's right.
So that's your lesson today. It's a bean, and when in doubt, just form an S and then form a C close by, and you can put something together.
S and C. And
S
C.
and C.
And scene. Yay!
Yay! All right, that's your lesson. And I think my thing glitched for a second, so I might need to restart it real quick.
You all right?
So I'm going to take me off screen share.
Yeah, sure. And then we can just chat and chill for a bit, all right, while we do it. So, like, it's like I said, I've had a ton of fun. Like, also, like, I did this for folks who still watching and listening, I chose a drink and draw format because I also realized that illustrators, by and large, have problems speaking unless they're in a format they're comfortable with. I want to explain, because here's the thing. Talking, I'm not saying this in a bad way. Most illustrators look at the world very visually, and they process information, so much information visually, that it's like their natural inclination is to express via showing people, not necessarily telling people. They're very much the show. So that means they're not necessarily as talky right away. That's not always true, mind. Once you get them in a scene where they're comfortable showing, usually the telling comes shortly thereafter. But you got to get them in there. But once you do, it's great, right? It's an amazing experience. So that's part of the reason why I did it. Part of it is I just have no fear. I have an incredibly big mouth, and I'm not ready to look foolish, in a process of doing anything. Because you only learn by doing. You don't learn by you don't. I mean, you can learn stuff theoretically, but there comes a point where you have to let yourself go kind of on the journey of discovery, and the only way to do that is just to do something or be something, right? So,
absolutely, and it also takes a lot, to touch on visual people having a hard time finding the words, right? And how there's a lot of information that's going on when visual people look at the world, right? That takes a lot of brain power. Y'all probably have noticed that once we started drawing, our speech slowed down a bit and our word choices haven't been the best. And that's because art, any kind of this visual stuff, it takes brain power to focus on that. Stuff that's fun doesn't really need to take the brain power, but stuff that you're trying to be good at does. And so there's illustration's fun, but it's also work. So now you know.
Now you know.
Now you know.
And this just comes from my experience interviewing people, right? So, like, illustrators are in a more comfortable place when they illustrate. So let's give them that comfortable place and see what happens. So that's a secret, ladies and gentlemen. Always, when you are looking at a show and you're trying to get people to be more comfortable, figure out what makes them happier, or more comfortable to be in a position where they can share and express things. And then, because if you can do that, you can do some amazing things, and let people be. And again, when people are themselves, are allowed to be themselves, I should say, it's incredibly liberating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Shani approves.
Shani 100% approves.
So yeah, this week we're doing master studies to figure out where that blend of, this was a really good diagram that he showed us, basically, right? Here's our skill set, right?
Let's see. Yeah.
And here's hold on, let me move this around. You're going to be right, so there's our skill set, and here's what the market wants, and doop. I think I did the thing again. Copy pasty, right? And so wherever what the market wants overlaps with what you do, that's where their work will be.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So doing these master studies helps us find the work.
Mm-hmm.
Style, market. And so if your style is such that that you're already in the market, you don't really need to work too hard. But if your style is all the way over here, you've got a large gap to bridge.
Yeah, but at the same time, folks, it's not necessarily. It also depends on what market you're choosing to go for, too.
Right.
Right? Because, for example, trade magazines. Okay, there are magazines that all they talk about is potatoes. I'm not kidding.
It's true. I've read them.
Yeah. So here's the thing. We are, as a culture, obsessed with anything and everything. And it's okay. That's actually what makes the world wonderful, right? It makes the world a wonderful place. So what you want to do is then find where you can be obsessed with absolutely anything. Like absolutely anything. Doesn't matter.
Embrace it.
Yeah, and embrace it first and foremost. Figure out what you're good at. Probably actually should be the first and foremost. Second thing, figure out what you're good at. And then find, because chances are, see, you're not the only one. You're not the only one that is obsessed over potatoes or chocolate chip cookies.
Believe it or not.
Yeah, or chocolate chip cookies, or ice cream, or whatever other. You know, I'm very good at using silliness to make my points. I find that's just how I teach people.
That's a superpower.
Yeah, it's an interesting superpower, right? But
people learn a lot through humor. I mean, that's how stand-up comedians get away with political jabs.
Yep. Well, stand-up comedians, I felt kind of bad in the last few years because it's actually, I think, harder today to be a stand-up comedian than it's ever been, because I do feel like in some ways, sense of humor. Now, I'm not saying every joke that we've ever made is fantastic. No, they're not. Right? That's not what I'm saying. But I also feel like we have a tendency to sometimes something that's just meant to be in an arena of humor, right, shouldn't probably be taken hopefully quite as seriously. There's a fine line there, but I do think that line does exist somewhat. So it's something I've noticed. Like, I look at someone like Dave Chappelle, who basically just bucks the system. Also, I realize he might be his business philosophy might be actually mine. I realized that actually watching him. He just when he was doing comedy shows, when he came back, he had a tendency to just go to places, put up his tent, throw a show on, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm very much cut after a similar fashion. I don't what's the term? I don't necessarily have the concept of big master plan. Nope, I'm just going to do my shit.
Oh, I feel that. You're probably the same type of approach when you come to writing too. You just write. You don't plan it.
I plan it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I plan it a little bit. You can't go in there with no plan. You just can't. But wow, I didn't exactly draw Avatar here, but I think I came up with something pretty cool. But we'll see. This is where one of the few times I wish I had some color, because
that would make identification really easy.
Actually, for me, it's the tree I'm drawing, because so I figured out hair isn't really about completing the full thing. It's about just putting enough lines on that people get the idea, and once the idea is there,
absolutely
right. That's hair. I figured out hair.
Absolutely. A lot of new artists tend to fall for the the mistake of putting in every single strand, and that's just way too much detail that takes away from the rest of the page. If your statement is look at this hair, put in every strand. But if your statement is look at this character, don't let it compete.
No, it actually kind of wrecks what you're going for a little bit, right? Again, what's the story you're trying to tell? It's amazing. Mm-hmm. It's amazing how much. This is where my planning comes in, because I always ask myself that question now. So, what's the story I'm trying to tell? And then my imagination takes over and comes up with random, crazy, stupid things, which is just awesome. I came up with a unicorn that literally talks out of its butt and does advertising because why not? Because that's how I'm wired. It's just like, you know what? This sounds whimsical as hell. Screw it.
Right? I smell a new book in your future.
Yes. Oh, that book's already out.
My mistake.
Yeah, that book's already out. Right? That book's already out. You can buy it on Amazon right now.
Noted. I'll look for the unicorn butt.
Yeah, he's only a small part of the series of the character. It's funny when Trump got elected, everybody was depressed, and I understandably so. I'm not gonna say that I cheered on the day Donald Trump got elected, and I think most of us had a.
That was a dark few months.
Well, no, So what I did was, I was writing this novel, then it's like, so what's the name of my unicorn? That had over 100 responses.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah. Oh my god,
that was not an awesome response.
No. It's like, it was an awesome response. It was an awesome thing. It was just like, I realized, like, why are people responding so loudly to this? Then I realized something too, and this is the other thing I bring to the table, and I recognize this about me as a brand and a person.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. I'm not afraid to talk about my politics exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very conscious when I'm on my pages to keep it very politically neutral.
Sure.
Right. And the reason is, and it's not because I don't have an opinion. It's just I recognize something. Ultimately, we're talking about something where politicians don't even know my name.
Right.
So really, even if I think he's a dick, it doesn't really matter. He doesn't know who I am.
Don't risk your brand for that.
Yeah, exactly. But lots of people do. And I don't fully understand it, but that's neither here nor there. But I realize, like, what I can bring to almost any situation, no matter how dark, is I'm a silly motherfucker. I'm just silly. And
embrace it.
Yeah, that's it. I just do. And I have fun. I just have fun being myself. And when I am myself, I find that, again, going back to the unifying theory I had, that all people really want is to be happy and left alone. Well, I'm not talking about mask or no mask. I'm not talking about vaccines or no vaccines very much. I'm much more interested in what kind of ice cream problem do I have today? Do I have an ice cream problem, or am I a junkie, or am I an addict? I went with junkie just because, frankly, junkies don't go to meetings.
Well, that's okay to be a junkie over ice cream, I guess.
Is anyone really going to argue with me on that one?
Chocolate chips, cheese, hell yeah.
Yeah, see, like I said, I've hit all your buttons. You're like, yes. Like, yes.
I support you, dude.
Yeah. And also, seriously, I don't know if I want to be friends with the person that comes to me and says, I don't like ice cream.
They're questionable. You know, more ice cream for me, but do I really want to see a future where I'm saying, hey, let's get ice cream, and you're saying, I don't really like ice cream? I'm not sure. That could be a deal breaker.
I think most people wouldn't. Well, first off, you wouldn't believe them, would you?
Who doesn't like ice cream?
Exactly.
It's got everything to it. And you can be lactose intolerant. They got other kinds of ice cream. Okay. It is a very welcoming product.
Yes.
Find your niche.
Yes, exactly. And that's my whole point. You see, I like, now, if I say I don't like vanilla ice cream, you buy that.
Yeah, that's fine. More for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
I don't like cake ice cream. Birthday cake ice cream? What's that about?
Yeah, exactly.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. No, so what I'm saying to you is, what I'm saying to you is basically, you'll buy that. But if I say I hate all of it, right? If I'm saying I hate all of it,
You haven't tried all of it. Don't
yeah.
even come at me like that.
No. At that point, you're like, I question you. Who are you?
Don't you dismiss this beautiful product for not having experienced enough of it to find something that you like, my friend.
That's right. Right. See?
I think we got onto this conversation by like potato magazines, right?
Yes.
Finding the market that works for you rather than having to force yourself into that market and be untrue to yourself.
Exactly.
Ice cream. True to yourself. Got it.
I'm being honest, aren't I? Also, seriously, if there was like new flavors of ice cream every month as memes, people would devour that shit. They just would.
New ice cream memes?
Like no, just imagine. No, can you just imagine? Okay.
Okay.
If more new ice cream flavors were made and you advertise it via means of meme, I think people would just devour that shit. Oh my god, there's a new ice cream flavor, right? That would be that.
I think Ben and Jerry has beat you to that.
Yes, they did probably.
They come out with the silliest names.
Yes. See, Ben and Jerry's is smart. They know their audience.
Dude, they're delicious.
Yeah, exactly.
They're perfect. Thanks.
See? Now, so like I said, who doesn't like ice cream? I probably have made you hungry just listening to this episode. Probably my audience too.
There is pizza waiting for me, but I've already had my ice cream of the day.
I haven't had mine yet. I'm gonna do that after I'm done.
Poo. Okay.
So it started off as an avatar thing, but it didn't end up as an avatar thing.
Are you showing it off?
You want to see it?
Hold on, let's see. 1 second. Stop.
I'm gonna do that.
Let's see. A guy by a tree. Was this supposed to be Iroh by the tree before you started?
Yeah, it was supposed to be, but it didn't work out that way. But you know what? I think I like this still anyway.
Move it a little to the other side. I'm getting most of the gutter.
Sorry.
He seems like he's having a good time.
That's right.
Just chilling by a tree.
Yeah.
Well, I'm picking up on that story, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What you're trying to do?
Yeah, the story was good. I failed with Avatar, but I'm good with the failure.
You did not fail.
I still, but again, it's all about being like, again, I'm totally not a terrible person when it comes to the fact that I can acknowledge my shortcomings, but but the point is, every time I do something, I learn something, and that's, I think, the ultimate lesson of success is some of my best successes have come from my failures.
Absolutely. And I think one of my favorite takeaways about failure and mistakes is that, don't be afraid of mistakes. Just don't make the same mistake twice.
No.
Be excited for the future mistakes you're going to make.
That's right. That is totally correct. That's totally correct. I am, like I said, I think I'm going to be, because basically from what you said of the wonderful time limit we had, I love that cup. The cow cup is amazing.
Aw, thanks.
Yeah. But for the time that we've given for this stream, I'm going to be done my drawing part for the night. So we can highlight what you're doing from here, or we can go to the chat and we'll do the big giant wrap up. It's up to you. I mean, we still got some time left, but I feel like I probably should just focus on keeping my big mouth open for the rest of the stream and not draw so much, and let you decide what you want to do.
It sounds good to me. Whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
I'll move on to the bow tie now.
Okay, you move on to the bow tie. So, bow tie? What bow tie?
Oh yes, this bow tie, right? Yeah.
Let's see.
Because I'm trying to do props, right? So
Yeah.
I want to see how Jay Yang does their props. It's very editorial, block colors. This is what I was saying earlier with how you see your anatomy, right? You're
Mhm.
seeing it in these block colors, whereas a watercolor artist might see it like this, where it's a gradient of color.
Mhm. Yeah, which is still very cool. So.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just the way the
But
world works.
yeah. But no, like I say, it's just bow ties are incredibly hard to tie.
I've never really tried it.
They're really hard to
I'll
tie.
take your word for it.
Yeah. Well, it's not like an all important life skill, but I will say this: anyone that can do it has my respect. Just because they're not as easy as they seem.
I feel the same way about French braids.
Yes.
Not easy and not incredibly important to my life up until recently. And I got this haircut, and it's like now I really want to go for that look. And now suddenly French braids are really important in my life. What's that about?
Well, I think you just enjoy embracing the Nordic side of yourself. It's like, hey, I'm out there into the world.
Ole.
And then you're like, my life choices. How do I not know how to do this?
My life choices.
No. Oh no, it's like I said, I'm excited. Like I said, I'm spending the next few months. June 15th, I announced my next book. So
Mazel.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about it now?
Sure, I can actually. I'll tell you what it is. It's the sequel to Alice Zero.
Okay. All right. Dive in.
Yeah. So it's longer. And I talked to Kenzie yesterday. Oh my God, the things she is. I have asked her to draw. Unfortunately, this is where I had to be like somewhat of a sad man with business. It's like I can't afford everything I want to do.
On me.
Yeah, I just can't. But she's so I really dig working with her though for one very simple reason. She's so enthusiastic. Like honest to God, she is one of the most enthusiastic people I've ever worked with, and I love her style. She's perfect for this project, and and it's fun. It's funny now because I have some skills now, but it's like nope, she's way better than me, and will be for years to come. And she tells the story incredibly well. So, and I wanted to work with her again, so I got that opportunity.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you found somebody who really, vibes on your level, right?
Yeah.
And can deliver the vision that you've been thinking about for a long time.
Well, it kind of just stumbled that way with her. It just like I knew her ironically because I played her boyfriend in Magic the Gathering of all things.
Of course you did.
Yeah. Are you surprised I play Magic?
No, I'm not surprised. I just never thought about it, and it's all coming together.
Does it make sense? I'm totally a red deck wins guy. I love red deck wins.
I never got into it, so that's going a little bit above my head. But again, I'm not surprised.
Yes. Well, it's just me. It's just me being like just me embracing my inner kid. But I met her. She was actually really impressed when I released when one of my books came out. It's like, yeah, I'm a writer, and I showed her books. Like, that's really cool. And I knew of her and Vlad for a bit, and that's her boyfriend. And then years later, I'm looking for an artist for this Alice story that didn't get into the anthology it was originally commissioned, but it was too good for me not to tell the story. Right? So I'm like, I need an artist for this. And she just happened to show up, and she's like, I can do this. And like, oh my God, she killed it. She knocked it right out of the park. And I really enjoyed the it was a great experience. It's also she did the one thing that terrified me as a businessman. And I took this very seriously. We basically just worked with a verbal agreement.
Oh God. No contract, no nothing.
Yeah, but here's the deal. I took that very seriously. I'm going to be very honest. If it wasn't for the fact that shit goes wrong so often, right? I'd work almost exclusively verbal if I could, because I
Right.
really am a big believer in your words, your bond. But I recognize the fact that just too much shit goes wrong. But fortunately for that particular project, it went completely right. This one, we have a contract. This one is gonna be like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, that shows respect for knowing how well things could go, right? If you
Yeah,
didn't have a contract this time, it would be almost like, I'm not quite sure we're professional enough to, or I don't see this going anywhere, so the stakes are low. So
yeah.
don't worry about it.
No, I never. Contracts are almost always. Now we work together a few more times, right? And it goes really, really well overall.
Uh-huh.
The contract could be a lot looser, just simply based on the fact that you have that relationship. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that gave. I'm not gonna lie, that gave me a heart attack. She just went and did it. It was like, oh God, I gotta come through. Like literally, the pressure. I put more pressure on myself than her because she was killing it. It was like, I gotta come through because I don't want to mess this up.
Well, that's like one of the biggest no-nos they say to artists is don't work before you have that contract. Don't work before that first payment, right? And the fact that
Mhm.
she went for it makes me wonder, like, how many of these has she done, right? Because
That was her
that's
first. That was literally her first one.
so it might
So
be worth it to tell her to,
no,
get used to a contract.
no. We did a contract on our second one, and I told her
Cool.
afterwards too. Or I told her afterwards too. It's like, yeah, next time we're doing a contract because I can't do that. I can't do that to my own anatomy ever again. But
Seriously, just the cortisol level.
yeah, no, literally, that was like again. Also, because someone as talented as she is, I want it to be as good a working experience as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, the last thing you want is a bad experience to ruin a talent, right? So,
And you
but
know what? Like, the closer you are to somebody that you end up working with, the more that contract is important.
yes,
You think it's the other way around, but no, no.
yeah, no, because here's the thing: friendships, everybody, and I learned this too. That's one of the things I learned last year. A friendship does not guarantee that you're going to be a good client or a good freelancer. In fact, it
Yeah,
might make it. It
being
might,
a friend is different from being a client.
yes, and the fact of the matter is that in my case in particular, right? Um, like I just remember that like my friendships have been the worst unless there has been a contract and an agreement involved. They've
Hmm.
been the worst. They've been the worst experiences, right?
Which is
Right.
just a total shame because they were your friend first.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I reckon that I learned from it though. Here's the thing: like contracts aren't for when things go good; they're for when things go badly, right? And the fact of the matter is, like, and this is the thing, where you want everybody on the same page is expectations, because that's where shit goes wrong. It doesn't go wrong, even if a job goes completely south. Let's say I fuck it up or they fuck it up, that can happen. But having the expectation of what happens afterwards nailed down,
Right.
that's the important part.
Somewhere to reference that you've both agreed to before you started getting emotional with panic or expectations or stress or all of that.
Yeah, mostly expectations. Expectations is the one thing you got to watch out for, because if you don't, you got to be, and actually this is true in relationships too.
Mm-hmm.
Expectations make and break relationships, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. So that's the thing, right? So you have to be very cognizant of what people want and what people expect of you, and vice versa, what you expect of them. And when relationships sometimes can go south is when those expectations aren't voiced, or there's no reference to them, because then people just get hurt and there's nothing. On one hand, it's like, well, maybe the reason they're hurt is a common sense. It's a very common sense thing. But if the expectation isn't there, well, there's nothing necessarily anyone can do about it either. It's happened, right? So.
And we're talking about this like business relationships aren't relationships.
Yes.
They are. Just like you need that consent and verbal contract or expectations in any kind of relationship, you need the same thing in business. And the contract is just where it's written down that y'all have agreed to the same thing.
Yes.
It's just like wedding vows, dude, except it's business vows.
Yes. Absolutely. But it's a hard lesson that I think all of us struggle with, right? So I've learned this like there's a reason why contracts exist. And it's not the reason people think. Right? It's not because things are going to go badly or good or things are going to go well and this is what you need. No, it's for when things go badly and you have an agreement upon expectations so that no one has too many hurt feelings. Hurt feelings can still happen, but it's a little bit more easier to forgive them when it's like, well, we planned for it. Yeah, it's a little easier than say, oh shit, it didn't work out.
Right. It's there are certain things that should be in your contract. What happens when things work out the best and you make $1 million off this project? What happens when shit hits the fan? Who's responsible for what? Who does what? When are things? When are the due dates? Who's getting paid how much and when? And what can we do with the product? Right, like subsidiary rights and whatnot. Those are basically the elements that go into the contract. But really, the important part is what do we do when we're not thinking straight?
Yep. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, most of us can't. Like I said, I do have a firm belief in your word should bond, which some cultures the verbal agreement is actually stronger than the one on paper, right? Some cultures that is the truth, but by and large, most of us don't know how to handle our shit.
When things very stressed, we're human.
Yeah, and also how we interpret again. And the thing about like we interpret expectations, all of us a little differently. So I think having a clear idea of what's going to happen when this event occurs, and when this event, and when this great thing happens, and when this terrible thing happens, is a very, very real thing.
Absolutely, and you'll thank yourself for it. It may feel awkward being like, "Hey, Grandma, I know that we're making a book together. Let's have this contract." But you know what? If shit hits the fan, you will be thanking yourself. It's a measure of consequences. What's the consequence of having a contract and feeling awkward about it at first versus not having a contract and then destroying your relationship with this person?
Well, that's it. Like what's more valuable, the relationship or the deal in action? And for friends, it's the relationship. You don't want to lose that after you're done. So
let's just put our business hats on and make a contract, y'all.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's it, right? That's what it's about. Otherwise, people's feelings get hurt, and once people's feelings get hurt, that's usually it for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
May not be forever.
Contracts are a sign of respect.
Yes.
Which is why I'm telling you to tell your friend to get used to contracts, because she's worth it.
She is. No, like after I'm just saying this straight up. After that first time, she's been good. It was just like I said, just one of those things where just like, oh, I was having a heart attack.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's gonna hit the fan.
Well, no, it's like, oh god, I don't want to fuck this up. That's literally what that was the thing. No, man, she's worth it. Like I think she's incredibly talented, and I love what she's done. So Alice will be the first one. The book I'm writing and illustrating is in draft 2 right now. Mm-hmm. I have another novel I'm working on, and where I reimagine the Knights of the Round as my own little injustice gang. Basically, I corrupt the Knights of the Round as something truly terrifying and evil. Yeah, and I got someone I'm working on with that too. So like again, I know who I am as a creator. I want to be the guy that does the Rogers Zelazny Japanese light novel mix, and because to me that's the cool shit.
Mm-hmm. And so, right, we're back to marketplace. You know where you fit in. So then it's just about finding what's trending in that kind of style, and not really changing your voice, but just changing how it looks so that people can keep up with you and see what's in your head easier. Because when you look at the marketplace and you see what's trending, what you're seeing is what the market is saying they understand best, right? What language are you
Yes.
speaking today? And if you want your message to be best understood by the audience, you have to speak their language. If you don't care and your voice is more important, that's fine. Just, be prepared to not be understood, enjoy obscurity. But it
Eh,
really, yeah.
I'm gonna push back a little bit on that one, just for
Okay.
just on a
Go for
couple
it.
points.
Yeah.
Usually, what's trending in the moment isn't the result of what of the present. It's the
Right.
result
It's
of
a
the
few years
past.
behind.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
result of the past. So, as a writer, I do have this tendency to think that you should write your voice should take a bigger precedence than necessarily what's trending in the moment. Because unless you can like crank out a great book in like 30 days, right? You're
Right.
not that trend is going to pass you by. In fact,
Absolutely.
even in that 30 days, it still might pass you by. So, so I'm going to push back a little bit on that one. It's not trending, especially in publishing, is very hard to figure out. But
Yeah, I'm right there with you. If you start chasing it, it could, the trends could circle back to what you were originally doing, and then you just kind of lost your voice trying
yeah,
to go after what's trending, right?
yeah. So I so but this is what I've done. Like this is
Uh-huh.
and this is where I think people should you should harness the past a little bit, because here's the thing. We're telling the same stories we told in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 2000s. We're telling the same stories. That hasn't
Mhm.
changed. But how we tell them is very different. And sometimes what is old is new again. And I find that there's that recognizing, looking at, okay, mentioned Zelazny. He did this series called Nine Princes in Amber. Why do I like this series so much? Like, I actually asked myself, why do I like this so much? Great main character. I love the world building, right? And I love the base story of the humanity of the base story, right?
Mhm.
I love all three of those things.
Uh-huh.
Ergo, so if I'm going to carve a little bit from that mold, I'm going to take the things I think that work from that. But again, Japanese light novel,
Absolutely.
right? Japanese light novels. What do I like about that? I love the idea that it gives you a glimpse into the world in a very fun, creative way. And I think that especially in, say, a young adult market, for example, right? I think pictures do fantastically well there,
Mhm.
because I think younger readers are far more visual, and they have a lot more. I think they have a lot more that childlike wonder and quality of imagination,
Mhm.
right? Feeding that as much as you can is a great thing to do. So for me, I'm looking at this as like, if I was a kid, what would be the kind of story I want to read?
Right.
And that's how I did it. Right? Now, it might not work because I might be just an army of one, but I'm willing to bet that I'm probably not alone. Now, how many people join me? That's a harder question to quantify. But life's about taking risks, right?
Indeed. And how many people will join you? That goes back to the whole market research, right? It's not enough to just copy what the market is doing. It's what you said, right? Why do I like this? What is working here that I want to recreate? It's not about copying, it's about analyzing and then adopting what will work best for your message.
Yep.
Right. So remember Scott McCloud, he's talking about iconic language. What if I said, right, this means fire?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean fire.
No.
In our world, in our experience, this means water.
Yes.
Right. This is a water drop, right?
A water drop or a balloon. One of the two.
Or a balloon. I could see that.
Yeah, one or the other. Right? Yeah, but again, the initial thing is a teardrop. That's basically
Right.
what you see there.
And I only know this because the market and the culture has told me that. And every culture has a different word for a different image for this, a different icon for water, right? Now we have it that this could be sweat drops, right, off of a person. And then that means that they're anxious. Oh no, right? But that's when I'm talking about looking at what works in the marketplace, it's about deciding on what language people are speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I can't force the majority of the marketplace to believe that this is fire when they've grown up knowing that this is water. So we're back to like adopting what works, mm-hmm. and not smothering your voice to chase the market, but enhancing your voice by knowing what language the market is speaking.
I think there is a slight. So going back to what you originally said and what you're saying now, I think what you're talking about is understand the language of the story you're trying to tell is ultimately what you're saying. Not necessarily about what's trending, right? But understand the language of the story you're trying to tell. And don't be afraid to look at what's going on around you to see what's being spoken. Right? Does that make sense?
Of course, you have to know what story you're telling for you to tell the story.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But that's basically what I think that's basically it. Like, because chasing a trend is almost always a nightmare. Like you'll never catch it. It's like if you happen to be there when everybody was doing penguin zombie apocalypses, awesome.
Congrats.
Right. But now it might be potato fairy tales because that hasn't been done yet, I don't think. But I mean, who knows? Someone somewhere will listen to this and go, "Oh my God, this is
potato fairy tales."
Yes,
that's the one.
What if all the fairy tales were done in the realm of Mr. Potato Head?
Dude,
yes.
Dude, hold on.
Stop.
You've done it.
I done it. Mr. Potato.
Oh, we're gonna give Mr. Potato Head a crown.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
So, see, I think I scored a point.
You did this.
Yes, I did.
You better copyright.
You made me think about this. Now I can't take it out of my head.
This better be the cover to this podcast.
It will be. If you send it to me, it will be Mr. Potato Head as the crown. And anyone still watching, yes, I did. I just mentioned Potato Princess and Zombie Apocalypse and all that stuff. And
this is what happens.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. Now I can't stop.
So I think Mr. Potato is doing the haka. That's basically what I'm saying there. That's a dress, right?
Yeah, well, it could be a dress. I'm trying not to give him a Hitler stash.
Okay, you are getting it. It's okay. Mr. Potato.
Hey.
It's not a Hitler stash. You want to know why it's not a Hitler stash? It's big. It's too big. It's too big for a Hitler stash.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to make sure happens. Not Hitler. Hold on. I'm not going to write that down because it's got to be
it's implied. Have faith in your art, Johnny. Have faith in your art.
Well, let's give him a nice pink staff here.
Okay. Can it be a baton?
I blame you. What?
Can it be a baton?
Sure.
Yeah.
We will give him thrills.
Someone watching and listening to this is gonna be, what the hell how does Josh's mind work? It's like I just go with shit.
This is the magic of art.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's it. I am a silly person. That's just the truth. I am just a silly person, and Shani is almost as silly as me. I somehow feel she's probably more of an adult than I am most of the time.
I grew up fast. Okay, that's all. I swear I'm a child still.
No, you are a kid. But listen, you're drawing Mr. Potato with the baton. You are a kid. Let's not kid ourselves. I'm just saying that between me and you're probably the adult most of the time, right? Most of the
Right, if I'm
time.
being paid.
I think there are times where I would be more adulty than you. I will look at you at that point and go, I think we're screwed. But I mean, there are points in the whole thing that I'm like, yep.
All right, I think we have it.
That's right. And we are just, and at the time you mentioned, we're just about here.
Oh yes! Wow, look at that.
I know. So Mr. Potato, I'm going to shut this screen now. I'm just going to highlight Mr. Potato, and then we're going to wrap up, and then I get to talk to her a little bit. Good night.
All right, cheers, y'all.
And Mr. Potato has gone off into the ether. It's just me and Shani again as we wrap up here.
Awesome. All right, let's stop.
So we ended up talking about success and terrifying one of my readers a little bit about how it's like, what do you think everybody has in common? And then I answer, it's like, oh my God, that actually makes sense. Like, yeah, kind of does, doesn't it?
You spoke a truth that they were ready to hear.
Yes. So we went from that to ice cream to a Mr. Potato fairy tale. I think that's I'm like 12 here. I don't know, but
it's a good Saturday for me.
Yeah, it's a great Saturday. So before you disappear, I'm going to ask this because I think this is fair. Actually, I'm going to two things. We're going to talk about me for a second because I'm an egomaniac and shit. But how's my art coming? Like, you've been seeing me, you've almost on a monthly basis here. So how's it coming, in your opinion?
How's the what coming?
My art, my drawings.
Your art.
Yeah.
You know, I only see it for brief moments when we're talking, right? So I would love to be able to see more of your body of work so I can tell you where I see improvements. The brief times that I've seen it, the improvements that I've seen has been in body structure, because it doesn't seem like you're sketching it out at first. It looks like you're looking at it as a total block shape. So the proportions of those shapes, how long should the arms be and the legs be and the torso, I've seen improvement there.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
And I've seen you take up more space on the page, which is what all teachers will tell their students, don't draw small, draw large.
Yeah.
You have the whole page.
Yeah. Yeah. So which one did you like better? Tree random something or bonked in the head Avatar Tonight?
Oh, well, they both had, different goals there. Yeah. Avatar, you were trying to capture his essence. I recognized him immediately. That looked like Aang. Mm-hmm. The tree, that was trying to tell a story. I think you were successful there too. Sweet. Now that tree moment, whenever I see the Iroh in Ba Sing Se stories, it always makes me cry. So the emotion is there. I have to say that I like that one better.
No, it's fair. That's fair. I enjoyed drawing both. Like Avatar's fun. I still think for me, Link's my favorite thing to draw so far.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, again, so good. so good. But it's also because I think he's, from talking about icons here really quick, he's an easy icon to understand. Absolutely. I think that's the thing about him. I think my best drawing, believe it or not, is the Grinch. Believe it or not, because he's just such a. I figured him out, but I would say that Link's my favorite to draw because I gave him obnoxious boots, which are weapons of mass destruction all on their own.
Oh, absolutely.
So the second question then. So just in the last little bit, are you happy with where you're going at this point?
Yes, of course, because the alternative is that I'm not going anywhere, right? And I've wasted too much time not doing that, not progressing. I am very intrigued by how all of my skills seem to be leveling up together, right? Rather than specializing. I feel specialists have an advantage because they can just find a niche and go for it, whereas I'm kind of grazing and getting better at portraits and character design and illustrations and kids books and all these other things, right? I didn't plan for that, but it is coming together, and I am a growing fan of my own artwork. I think it's incredible, actually. I never saw this coming. Okay, I
So,
saw this coming. I knew I'd be an artist, but it just feels different to see. It doesn't feel like me. It looks like I'm looking at somebody else's work, and then when it is my work, it doesn't feel good to me. It feels technical. So it's a mixed bag, but I am enjoying it.
so can I make a very fun suggestion for you? Then
Do
we'll
it.
wrap up. Look at what all your stuff has in common.
And
Because
what do you think
chances
it has?
are, because chances are, see, all these things you've gotten really good at, you can look at one hand as I've become more of a generalist. And I'm speaking as someone as a dabbler too. I do podcasts, I write books, I'm drawing, I'm doing all kinds of different things at different skill levels. Mine are not quite the same skill levels. My podcast, I think, is like here, and my writing's like here, and my drawing's probably still here, but it is slowly leveling up. But
Yeah.
but the point is, right, all the stuff I'm doing does have something in common, right? And for me, it's about storytelling, right? It's just what I do, right? Podcast, I let other people tell their story, some might, right? What they want, the story they want to tell. When I'm writing, I'm just like the stories I want to tell. And when I'm doing art, it's like, okay, it's telling my stories with a different language, right? So in your case, looking at all the skills of how they leveled up, that you're like, I'm a generalist. Maybe what you should look at is, okay, so what am I doing with all these skills? Like specifically, what am I doing? Because chances are it's all the same thing, and that is your specialty. If you look at it from that perspective, you might be able to find more work.
Yeah, I thought I'd be entering the field into graphic novels and comics, and that's not where I'm at, right?
No.
It seems more like I'm, aside from the portrait work, which is its own different genre, it feels like I'm creating the world that the characters exist in, right? So I may do character design, but I'm doing a lot of backgrounds. I'm making the background come to life for them to interact with.
So,
And
so
I'm having a lot of fun exploring, that they say that different artists who focus on different subjects are looking at the world in a different way. And when you look at somebody's art who's focused on the environment in the natural sphere, they're more focused on the beauty of the world, right? And I never really knew that about my own art, but in looking at it, it does seem like I'm appreciating the aesthetic of life more than I'm appreciating how somebody looks or character design. It looks like I'm more of a world duplicator and a world builder, and that's exciting.
So one day I will see a video game designed by you, and that'll be really cool.
Or an animation.
Yeah, why not?
Or a story. Yeah. Who knows?
Considering how you just lit up when you said animation, go there because you lit up. You lit up.
Thanks.
You did. You lit right up. So you know what? Go where you light up. See what that will take for you, and then just do it.
I did apply to Disney jobs, and one of them was a background painter.
So okay, yeah. So good luck. I hope you get what you want. But beyond all that, we are out of time, my friend. So at least for this month, you gonna come back next month? Do you want to come back?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. Let's do it.
I will actually put it in my date book.
Yeah, we'll do that off the air. So for people that want to find you, let people tell you how they can find you.
Absolutely. I didn't realize people were still here.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, everybody. Okay. Feel free to find me over at theartbard.com or LinkedIn, Shani O, SHANI-O, or The Art Bard. Either of those will find me. Instagram, The Art Bard Soto. Facebook, The Art Bard. Or email me at theartbard@gmail.com. Just type in theartbard.com and you will get all those options.
Thanks, Shani. For everybody watching, listening, and last little bit, thank you very much. Surprise! I got a haircut. See?
Look at him. He's professional.
Or something. Got a really cool week ahead of you guys. I hope you guys definitely check some stuff out. If you want to support this channel, follow it, twitch.tv/justjoshpodcast. Joshua Pintelloresco is my YouTube. Hit the like and subscribe there. I got books. June 15th. I'm going to probably make, although I think everyone can figure out what that next book is going to be. I mentioned it very much on this show. But I will make an official announcement on June 15th about it. But until then, guys, stay inspired, keep shining in the dark, and I'll see you guys Monday.
Adios.